Hi guys, welcome back to the Library of Alexandria, which is the first time I've said that in like 2 months. So we are here to talk about Descending Stories. It has a Japanese name. There is no need to in the comments let me know that it's actually called Japanese words. I know. But Descending Stories is easier to say. And remember, it is about Rakugo, and this is part 2 of the discussion as Philip is holding up over volumes 3 and 4 in the manga. I did not read the manga yet again. I watched the anime, and Philip read the manga, and I don't know what Murphy did. Did you read the manga?
No, I'm anime only.
Okay. So yeah. So anyway, when last we left it, forgot what happened last. He started telling the story. The last thing we saw is the woman showing up. I don't know what her name is. Mia. What's
the geisha?
Miyokichi.
Yeah. Miyokichi, thank you. Miyokichi. That's the last thing we saw in the anime last time. Real quick, Murphy, you watched the anime.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get the feeling that like Sukeroku's not actually Konatsu's dad?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that
it's one of the Johns.
You thought that Bon was the dad, right?
I think it's one of the Johns.
Okay.
Because she had a hard day at work. Like, I think she went back to being a prostitute.
Yeah, she did.
Or she is a prostitute. Like,
right.
She was with Kiku too.
Well, because she said she had to leave town because prostitution was becoming illegal in Japan.
Yeah. So, and because when she gets on top of Sukeroku, like it's like I got the impression this is the first time they're sleeping together.
I did too.
Yeah. Because in the anime, Philip, I don't know how it is in the manga. He's like,
it's not clear in the manga, but I actually did wonder. Oh, he's not actually the biological father. Probably.
Yeah. When she gets on top of him, like she's revealing herself, and it's not explicit, but he's like, I thought you were a bigger prude than this, and she's like, oh, I just did that with Kiku. I can be whatever people want to be, and that seems like a weird thing to say if they had slept together already. So
did you get the impression that they had never? Because she said Kiku rarely let me
let me crawl on top of him. Yeah.
So I got the impression that they had been intimate, just not very much.
Kiku and Mio. Yeah, like that's what I thought. Also, I'm like, so did they sleep together?
So I was like, maybe this is actually Kiku's baby,
it's possible.
Girl in the future, But I got some pushback on that. I was told that
I don't think they've slept together recently because he's been away from her for a long time.
Exactly. I didn't catch the time skip. So I don't think it's Bon or Kiku or whatever name we want to give him today.
It's one of the Johns.
Okay. What did you think, Philip?
Oh, I think it's vague in the manga at least. And that I actually did ask the question to myself, is Sukeroku actually not the biological father? And of course he is, for all intents and purposes, her father. He is functioning, not a very good father, but he's somewhat trying to function in that role. At least he stuck around, whereas her mother didn't. So
so y'all go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, and like keyboard warriors, you go ahead and push up your glasses. I'm getting ready to get angry right now. Cry me a river. They were here while I watched the last couple minutes of this episode. Cry me a river, Mio. Like cry me a river. Oh, you're so sad. Like I don't care. And if I'm supposed to care, and all you people that think I'm callous now and are gonna get all mad at me because I don't care, like this will just feed into Jimmy's canon lore that I hate women. I don't. I think Konatsu's the best, but I don't like Mio. I get that I get her issue, and I feel bad for her. But like at some point, guys, these people bring this crap on themselves. Like at some point they do. Like I like Sukeroku, but man, there's no way I'm handing him my checkbook and paying off his debts. Not a chance.
Yeah, for real. When he did that. And now I think he probably did that because he felt bad for the little girl who was working to support herself and her father because her father is a deadbeat. But at the same time, my goodness, you should have learned by now.
And just let me go ahead and say that Kiku, I don't like him either. He's a douchebag. Like he's just a stuck up douchebag.
Let's stick to one of them for a moment.
Okay, wait.
I want to say it all because people don't wait to finish. People don't wait to watch the whole thing before they comment. They go down there and they immediately comment on the thing I just said. So I'm encompassing it all before it's like, wow, like you just like Kiku. No, I don't. I don't like him either.
Okay, fair enough. I'm sure we'll get to more detail on this, but if
I like Konatsu. I like Konatsu.
Awesome.
And I like Yotaro. Can we see Yotaro, please?
I love Konatsu, and it was great to have her as a little girl in at least the number 4 here, volume 4. That was wonderful. And in the manga, you have these little at the end little inserts, and you do have Yotaro basically appearing as a kind of a gag. You know, it's more these comedic little, you know how they have these in manga, right? These little comedic little, after the thing is done, they have these little bonus things. So Yotaro appears in, I forget which one it was. I think 3 or one of them anyway. He says, "Oh, by the way, I'm, the former protagonist of this," and there was a whole like spiel on that. It was pretty funny. Yeah. So anyway, but to go back to Miyokichi, if we can, for a bit, okay. I'm not going to disagree with you about not feeling bad for her. I think she brings a lot of it on herself in many ways. The stealing the money, the being unfaithful, the, basically taking the rejection that she gets from Vaughn, or whatever we're supposed to call him at this point. Yakumo, whatever, the 8th.
Kiku is what he is in this
Kiku,
one.
yeah.
Kiku. That's what she calls him, Kiku.
All of that, I think, though, what makes me feel like, not that I feel sorry, I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like one thing that makes me understand, it's logical almost. It's unfortunate, but it's very human for her to be acting out in this way based on the way she was exploited as a very young girl. Absolutely. Including Yakumo the 7th, basically taking her on as a mistress.
Yeah.
And the way that she was exploited, the way she was used, that's all she's learned, in life, is being used. And that's how you get through life. And that's all she's got. That's all she's been able to use to survive in many cases. So while I do feel kind of angry at her decisions, and her neglect of her child is probably the worst among all of them. The fact that she abandoned her daughter, that's probably the worst of all her crimes. But at the same time, I don't know too many people who would have behaved differently under her if they had been handed the deal that she was handed. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Like, I think her character is very good and very human.
Yeah.
But I mean, just because what she's doing makes sense doesn't mean I have to like it. Like, it's like, when we're reading and people are like, "Oh, well, you just didn't like that part because you didn't understand it." Let me explain. No, I understood that part and I didn't like it. Like, it's like, understanding is not going to bring enjoyment. But I get it. I mean, she had a raw deal. She was basically like human trafficked. She was tricked into going to Manchuria, which, by the way, let me make a side tangent here, is how much I love the Japanese and how much we love these characters, especially the soldiers that went over to Manchuria. Like, knowing what I know about history and the Japanese occupation of Manchuria, like, it is some cognitive dissonance separating Sukeroku and Yakumo 7 from the horrors brought on visited upon Manchuria by the occupying Japanese military. Like, they don't touch on that at all in this, which I understand, but like, having that extra piece of information, like, sometimes gives me the heebie-jeebies, where I'm just like, I really like these people. I bet they committed atrocities when they were over there. Like, ugh. But yeah, she was basically tricked into the same way people get tricked on the internet, and then she was ditched when she was there and she had no money. She had to, prostitute herself. And that is a shame. That is a shame. And I do feel bad for her in that she loves Kiku, but he's just, I don't know what his deal is.
He's
I don't
devoted to his art.
Yeah, so he's one of these workaholic people that chooses career over relationship, which I think many of us can understand.
Well, and I think the work culture in Japanese culture as well is very strong.
Definitely true. Definitely
Yeah.
true.
So if she wasn't considered a worthy woman to him, which is not his opinion, but it's the opinion of the person over him, then
And Rakugo is basically his mistress, which is
yeah,
why she won't let Sukeroku do it.
right. So I felt for her in the scene where she was hashing out what you guys just mentioned when she was talking about her past and how she's basically trapped in this career because of what I was like, oh man, I didn't actually expect any sort of depth out of this character. So I felt for her in that, and I think that we can acknowledge that she's been dealt a horrible hand, and that she is very much what we see from her is a layered character that's hurting. But we can also acknowledge her faults. She left her child, and and same for Shin, who is depressed, but we can still acknowledge the fact that he has a pattern. From the moment we met him, he has been someone who has mooched off of his friends, who has drunk his life away, who has not applied himself, who's taken advantage of every opportunity given to him. You would hope as a father he would rise up. He's chosen not to. And their poor child is suffering for their neglect.
Didn't she say she was getting out of the life when they moved? Like, wasn't she gonna like work at an inn or something?
Yeah, so her goal was to raise their child. She wanted an easy life raising their child, and she wanted Shin to provide for them. And Shin only cared about Rakugo, and she only cared about squashing Rakugo in his life. So she told him, "No, you can't have that."
Sukeroku is almost worse because Sukeroku did not have to have this life that he had. All he had to do was just play by the rules. Like, all he had to do was apologize or stop insulting the old people. All he had to do was just play the game a little bit. Now, as someone who has autism and sees things in black and white idealism, and all I got to do is just play the game a little bit. I don't want to. So I get it. But it's just like, man, you didn't have to do this. And I do like that he's basically like the change that traditional Japan does not want. I mean, that's just the way things are.
Yeah, I mean, is he right? Is he actually right? Is he a visionary who basically wants to take this art form and save it from its own fossilization because these older dudes refuse to change? They're so tradition bound, and he sees what this can be, and he wants to save it. He wants to make it, something for the present. He's kind of right, isn't he?
Yeah. He can't get it though because he won't play the game just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, get to Yakumo, then you can do what you want.
Say it, on the other hand, though, Bon is one who will fall in line, follow the rules, do as is expected, and now the art form is dying, and you have someone, what is her name? Konatsu, the one that you like, Alan, who wants to enter the trade, and because of his traditionalist, because of his we won't change, because of that, he's continuing to shut the door on people that could potentially, who also have as much passion about this as he does.
Yeah, was that scene when he is cutting Konatsu's hair?
Yeah.
And he's explaining,
yeah,
oh, you can't do this Rakugo thing because you're a girl and women are there in the theater to give the men the right atmosphere.
Their perfume raises the aroma.
Perfume will inspire us. And I was like, oh, I was just starting to like you, man.
They're all very flawed.
I mean, he's got the traditional view, and we're in the 80s now, like, because it's been, however long no, I guess it's not in the 80s. Sorry, it's in the 70s.
Yeah, no, it must be like 60s.
Yeah, we got to be in the 60s currently, in the story. But he also, I like that he is like, I've never thought about Rakugo I've never thought about having fun doing this thing. Like, this has just been something that I need to excel at. And it's like I have to work at it to excel at it. But now that I'm performing in these tiny audiences, in these tiny inns, like, I'm having fun doing it. And Sukeroku's like, dude, it's because like you're connecting with other human beings. Like, you're connecting with the audience. I love that they kept coming back to like, Rakugo is not something you can do alone. Like, you need other people to respond to what you're doing. You need other people who have different styles to kind of challenge you, and like iron sharpening iron type thing.
Yeah.
And so I really like that, you know, he is learning more about himself and his trade. And I've always liked that he thinks that Sukeroku should be Yakumo. It's like, dude, he's better than me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, so I don't know. I don't know what the end of my
Yeah, but is someone who's naturally talented but won't apply themselves and won't actually put the work in actually better than someone who gives, like, works and gives their all to it?
Well, what's the end goal? The performance? Because that's when they're like, you can't do those big long ones that are for masters. He's like, well, the audience liked it. So I mean, and again, I'm not making a value judgment on either one because I don't know. I haven't thought about it. But
Oh, I don't know the answer to that either.
yeah, but if the end goal is the audience enjoying the show, then yes, he's good at it. They're laughing, they like it. But if is the end goal doing it the way it's supposed to be done? And I, someone who is both revolutionary and also believes that there's a certain way that things should be done, I'm torn.
I love that's the dynamic that Haruko Kumoto has set up in here between these two protagonists in this part of the story, at least, where you have Yakumo. I'm going to call him. I keep forgetting his.
Can we go with Shin and Bon? It's easier for me if we pick one naming group and stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps changing. But okay, Bon, he is the traditionalist. He is devoted to this art form. He is utterly devoted to it, but he recognizes, I love the scene where he says to Sukeroku or Shin, I don't care about the audience. I don't care about I want you because it's for me. I'm here for me. I need you to save Rakugo. And that's a brilliant scene because he recognizes this dynamic. And you have the other side, of course, is Sukeroku, who is the innovator. He's the one who he's the raw talent. You know, he's the one that could keep this tradition relevant to the modern day. And you have that wonderful, I mean, it's so skillfully embodied in these two characters, these two, I guess, tendencies or dynamics that they have to somehow intertwine and play with one another rather than be butting heads. And then you have the ideal situation. And we get glimpses of that. Like when Sukeroku comes out of the house and, Shin is coming out of the house and Bon is entertaining the little girl, Konatsu, and of course Bon can't remember the song because it's the more playful comedic part of the whole thing, and that's when Shin just starts doing his thing, but then they start doing it together, and that was beautiful. That scene where they come together and you feel like, oh yeah, this is it. If we could just have these two like this, but of course it can't last, right?
That scene was basically, I think, if Philip and Alan were doing Rakugo together.
That's what we do.
But it was a really great illustration of how two people can do the exact same performance and it's completely different. Like she was used to seeing her dad perform it and it was fun and it was light and it was jovial, but then Bon performs it and it's a lot grimmer and it's confusing to her. So then Shin comes in and gives his performance and then they can play off of each other. It shows how they can strengthen each other as performers, but it also illustrates that the same performance or the same story can be performed completely differently by two very different personality types.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got different strengths. Like, this is why, I mean, if we didn't, then we just need to have Murphy, you just have the BookTube channel and the rest of us can, I guess, just hang it up and retire it because, you're the one with all the people. So we might as well just watch your channel.
That would be terrible.
I mean,
everybody would be so mad at me because the people who want to watch BookTube but don't want me would be forced to watch me and they'd just be mad all the time.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we all do BookTube, differently.
Yep.
Even easy stuff like when people do TBRs or wrap-ups or best 10 books of the year, where Philip refuses to give any kind of number.
Why 10?
Because
there's a standard, Philip.
Because it's the way it's always been done. You know what, Philip? If you want to be an innovator, you're expelled. Go start your own booktube. Go start your own platform. Gone. The master's been asking me, why is he wearing that ratty tweed coat still? They've all been asking me. I've been complaining about you, Philip. I've been trying to be promoted to whatever the top rank is of booktube. But you're not making it easy for me, Philip.
Plot twist. Philip was actually Shin the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why he doesn't use star ratings either. And the masters demand it, Philip. The masters demand it.
Who's the real rebel here? The guy in the tweed.
That's true. That's true. I got us off track. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm looking at my notes because we've started at the end. And
Yeah.
now I'm looking at
Okay,
what
so the beginning, the first 3 episodes of this, like I was bored because there was no Rakugo. It was really
There was a play though. Did you guys get the play where?
Yeah. So
yeah,
like that was fine, but I was like, I don't know. If I say I don't understand the point, I'll sound dumb. But I think it's just like Kiku gets confidence from doing that, which I mean that's fine. But I didn't need 3 episodes to tell me that, because the interactions between him and Sugoroku in those 3, it's the same. It's just like, oh, Sugoroku's coming in asking for money. Oh, he's drunk. It's like, okay, this is not going anywhere. We're just watching Bone evolve and gain confidence, and that's fine. I thought it was kind of drawn out personally. But then the episode where he gets invited to leave with the master piqued my interest again, and I was like, all right, okay, cool, we're back on track. Because then you have the complicated, like, not telling anybody where he's going, and I don't know.
So the first couple episodes, as I understand it, and I didn't read the manga, is where the filler content was, which I agree that was slower. So we saw Bon, trying to train to be a geisha, and he was excluded, and he was made fun of, and that was anime only. Right? Did you have that?
Well, he for the role he was playing in the play. Is that
no? This is flashbacks from when he was little, when he grew up in the geisha house. Yeah. We got a flashback. He was training to be a geisha because remember his mom like left him there, right? Or he was abandoned there. I don't know. He grew up in a geisha house. Yeah, he grew up in a geisha house. We knew that from the beginning.
Yeah, we knew that from volume 1, I think it was.
Yeah.
I know it was in the manga because I read it as well, but it was briefly mentioned. It was really quick.
Okay.
And they're laughing at him because they're like, this kid thinks he can be a geisha. He can't. He's a boy. And then he injures himself, and they're like, now he can't even dance. So everyone's just going to laugh at this kid. And so we just, I guess, see it as motivation for Bone.
So one scene I thought was spectacular was when Miyokichi wanted to leave, and she was first asking Bon to leave, Kiku to leave with her. And she was like, let's go out of the city. We can do these things. And he turns her down. I guess for the second time, I think the scene, the scene where she's confiding her backstory came first, and then he kind of brushed her off, and then they spoke again, and he told her no again, and then this time she stood up, she told him, I'm gonna get revenge on you, I'm gonna haunt you, like all that. I thought that scene was excellent. Did y'all get much out of that? Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the next time we meet, it'll be in hell.
Oh my goodness.
I knew she was immediately going to go find Sugoroku, and I was like, I'm done with you, lady. Like, we're done. Bye.
Yeah, so she had just been turned down by the person that she loved, and Shin had just been expelled. So they were both hurting, found comfort in each other. They're not good together. But I thought I would love, Philip, for you to see that scene in the anime, because I thought that it was really beautifully shot, really wonderfully voice acted, with the open window and it blowing, and the wind blowing in on her, and she was
violin that plays behind everything is just tremendous. Like, I love
so good. Yes.
And then
it was a
when
really impactful scene.
Hearing the it's not a zither. What is the thing called? It's got to have a Japanese name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
That plucking instrument that they
Yeah.
use to introduce.
Bow, bow, bow.
That's a bass line.
No, it's bow, bow. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Another favorite for me from this was the encounter between Sukeruku and Yakumo the Seventh, after he's basically thumbed his nose at the authorities in the Rakugo world by he took the one dude's
the
favorite,
president's bit. He took the top guy's bit.
He took his bit and he did it really well. And of course, this was heavily embarrassing to Yakumo the Seventh. Then they have it out, and he tells him, "Hey, your Rakugo is boring and old fashioned." And what we get later on is I actually started to love this part of it because they have a huge falling out, and he expels him, he tosses him out, tells him he's a no good mutt. Ragamuffin, which is what he really feels inside anyway. But then we get this whole backstory about the original Sukeroku and how he actually was this hugely talented guy who was had the Yakumo the Eighth or Seventh's father. Like he had him dazzled, and Yakumo the Seventh became jealous, and you get this whole backstory. And I love the conflicting emotion that you get from this guy. You don't see it yet here so much when they're having their falling out, but you see it when he's nearing his death.
Yeah.
And he's basically, I lost my other son. He means Sukeroku.
Mm-hmm.
I lost him because of my arrogance, because of my refusal, my insecurity. I lost him because, and that was really something. I thought that was very touching, how he even though they had this falling out, he could never be completely honest with him about his own insecurity in the face of this raw talent that reminded him of his own, how he basically wheedled his way into being Yakumo the Seventh.
Yeah,
I love that those conflicting feelings. Like he really did love. He thinks of him as a son, and yet no one ever. He only acknowledges it to Bon, right?
Yeah.
So
and
that was brilliantly done, I thought.
I love that scene because he didn't even want to be. He didn't like Rakugo. He didn't even want to do it. Like his dad did it, but he didn't care until this kid came in and started getting daddy's attention. And he's like, oh well, what? And then he's not any good, but because he's the son, he gets his dad to promise, and that sucks. And Bone even is like, hey, well, wouldn't that be? How good would it be for you to combine Sukeroku and Yakumo? Like you could fix it. And he's like, and it's like, all right, well, you're hopeless. That's fine. Just go ahead and die. And he does. And then, Bone doesn't want it. Like, I love that Bone is, despite all of his prickliness, he is like, this guy is better than me. Why am I being given like the ultimate title? Like I'm being given the crown, but I'm not the best. And there's plenty of people in the world who would gladly take that crown and go ahead and wait and live that facade and be perfectly happy with it. So the thing that keeps me liking Bone, because he's just such a prig. I like that he, for all of his faults, is like, dude, you need to be doing Rakugo. You are too good to be sitting in here wasting away not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us would be like, thank goodness, my biggest competition is out of the game.
Yeah.
Yes. How do I get 500,000 subs now? Brought this dude down, Jimmy's gone.
Yeah. Alan's going to kill me.
Now I'm going to have 16,000 subs. Sorry, Jimmy, because I got to go somewhere. I'm just kidding. But like Bone is like, dude, like you're better. And this shows how much Bone cares about the craft, the art, the Rakugo itself, even more than himself.
Exactly.
Is that Rakugo is less without Sukeroku performing. Like the art form is done wrong by him quitting. So I just really like that.
He also recognizes that people need people. It's the iron sharpens iron, like you brought up, Alan. People need people to sharpen each other. So he knows that if you quit, I don't have someone that's pushing me outside of my comfort zone and pushing me to do the performances differently, which again was illustrated at the end of this section of the story when they were performing together and how much more alive that story was because of it.
And now they're going to do a double act.
It's going to be good. It's going to be so interesting.
So happy.
Yeah, and Kiku or
Why?
Bond's more quiet demeanor plays really well with certain roles, and Shin's more bombastic demeanor plays better with other roles too. So they get to just go full tilt into what works best for them.
Apparently, the women. Apparently, Bond is really good at playing the female characters.
Mhm.
Because of, you know, his lips are like a girl's.
And his eyes too.
Well, he also apparently had the experience of growing up in the
geisha house.
Yeah. So yeah.
So he has that experience to draw on as well when he's doing his characters.
Well, and they acknowledge too that Shin doesn't play women well because his experience with women is as a womanizer. Yeah. So his perspective of women, is very false. So he plays them wrong.
Yeah.
Or as a caricature, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that in the manga as well?
That was not really mentioned explicitly. No.
Yeah, he was trying to play a woman, and Bond was trying to help him.
That was the last.
Yeah, it was the last section. That's true.
Oh, that's definitely not in the manga.
Okay. Yeah, Bond was telling him, he's like, that's not how women act. That's not what are you your experience, the way you treat women, the way you interact with women is giving you the wrong impression of women. And Shin, who naturally has a more effeminate air as well, like that just suits him more. Bond, thanks.
Yeah, Bond. Yeah. We knew what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Just before someone in the comments is like, oh, actually, it's Bond that has the feminine air.
I'll also mention too, since we took shots at Shin, now I'm trying to be careful, at the beginning because he's a bad father. We can acknowledge the fact that he lost his dream too, right? So like he's depressed because he has one goal, just like kind of just like, not just like, but he has one goal, much like Bond, and that's all he wants. But he's
also the one that stayed. So he's a bad father, but he's also the parent that stayed.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a very good point. He's the one that stayed. Now he stayed to drink the day away and leave.
Super, yeah.
It's like a millimeter higher because his daughter still has to work for herself and for him in order to survive while he lays around and drinks all the time. But hopefully Bond will push him out of that.
I love that she's like, hey, you sat in here, pay this 10 yen. You sat in here, you watched the performance, put that money in this hat right here, and then buy some noodles because you just took up space.
I also love how one of the first things that she says to Bond is, I hate you. It's just like right when she meets him, it's like, okay, that's pretty much foreshadowing their relationship right there.
She calls him old man, and then she says,
smiles at it.
Oh my goodness.
There's this whole like dynamic between them, this love-hate thing that is there from the beginning. And then she finds out, oh, you're a Rakugo person. Oh my God, you have to let me see it, So there's this fascination there as well between her and him. I love that dynamic between them. It's a little bit fraught, but yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't until she realized that she could get something from him that she was like, wait a second, I do like you.
She's very enterprising. I like her.
Yeah.
What else?
I like that the characters are really, really flawed. They're superhuman, and I'm superhuman. They're very human. So I like that their flaws are just kind of laid bare, and then it's just like, deal with it. This is how they are. And it's the same with the plot. There's a lot of plot points that are just kind of there, and it's like, oh, how do we interpret that scene? What does that mean?
Yeah. Question about Yakumo 7. Was Sukeroku lying when he said that his is his favorite version of that Rakugo? He says yours is my favorite version, and this is right before they have the argument. It's the same conversation. They end up having the argument. He's like, "This is why your craft's old-fashioned and boring." And I'm like, "Didn't you just tell him that his version of that story was your favorite version of that story?" Is he lying, or are both of them true?
I think he's being sincere in both statements.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
What
you.
did you
Because
think of?
He does really respect and look up to Yakumo 7,
Oh yeah.
but he also feels that the old man and the organization itself are holding back the potential of what it could be, because he sees it as it's going to be dead. Like, we're preserving like a fire that isn't being fed. Like, it's just going to die. Like, we've got to do like we got to like dig out the fire pit or whatever to throw some gas on it. We got to cook with some diesel. Sorry.
No, it's okay. What did you think of the scene when the master was like, "Oh, how are things going with talking to Bon? How are things going with your girl? Is it good? I'm invested. I would like to know if it's good."
You told him to dump her.
Yeah, I know.
He's like,
But
"Oh,
then,
you need a respectable craft. While you're an apprentice, you can screw around with a prostitute. But if you're going to be like the whatever the top echelon is, you need to settle down with it." And Bon's like, "I just want to be myself," which I relate to.
Yeah.
but he did that, and then Bon saw her in the street, and he was like, I'm leaving. I don't have time for this." And he essentially broke up with her there, but then they had a proper breakup later. But what did you think about so for me, Bon, I thought that he was losing interest in her before that because he was distancing himself from her. But it also kind of seemed like when that conversation happened, it was like something shifted in him. And he was like, "All right, I'm done."
See, I actually think he loves her,
Oh,
but
he'd said as much.
yeah, but Rakugo is more important to him. And that's just how he is, he's dedicated to this. And it's funny because he, like Alan said earlier, he is so dedicated to it that it's more important than he is. Like, unlike Yakumo the Seventh, who has a tough time admitting to himself that he's basically a mediocre talent.
Yeah.
He's okay at this. He's done all right. He's held up the traditions. He stayed in his rut. But Bon is much more honest about everything. He's a very honest character. And he's, I think, much more relentless in his pursuit of excellence. And he recognizes what Sukeroku means to this art form. And he sees that, and he knows that it needs Sukeroku. So I just love his character, actually, Bon, or Yakumo the Eighth, or whatever we're calling him. I love his character and how he can be simultaneously so cold toward Konatsu, but also so fatherly at the same time. Like, he's the best parent figure in her life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Bad.
yeah. But he's actually, there's this, even when he's quarreling with her and saying kind of mean things, there's this twinkle in his eye. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's there's some life behind that kind of robotic face, I think, that makes me interested in his character.
And the person he's most honest with is Sukeroku.
Yeah.
Like, he never coats the. I mean, he doesn't tell Miyokichi where he's going, but he tells Sukeroku. He's like, "Hey, so I'm going on a trip with this. I got picked. You didn't. That's just the way it is. Yeah, get it together. Stop being a drunk. Get a job. Don't let girls in my house. Bye." But he flat out, like, he gives Miyokichi no explanation, none, on why he breaks up with her. He just ghosts her and then comes back and says, "Hey, so we're breaking up. The floor is yours. You can say whatever you need to do, or strike me if you must.
Hit me if you want." Yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't say anything. But to Sukeroku, he's like, no, I love her.
Yeah.
But the master said, "Hey, that girl's fine when you're learning, but when you're like, the master, the submaster, you need an actual family." And he's like, "What are you doing? Like, go after her." And he's like, "I don't like." She doesn't. He says she doesn't mean that much to me.
Yeah.
Comparing it to Rakugo.
I love her, but she doesn't mean that much to me, which just, like you were about to say it. Rakugo is number one.
correct. It's in the context of his ability to be able to do Rakugo. He says they'll expel me if I don't listen to them and stay with her. They'll expel me, and she doesn't mean enough to me for me to allow that to happen. Which is cold as ice. He's cold as ice. But it was the stuff he says, man.
But to also, he had a fiance at the beginning of the story who moved away, and he let her go, and now
because of Rakugo.
And now we have someone that he admits that he loves, but he lets her go because of Rakugo. So I think it's just a matter of, it'll be interesting to see if by the end of the story he finds someone that he loves enough to do.
He has found that person. It's Sukeroku. I think the only person he can be in a relationship with is Sukeroku, because he's the only other person who loves Rakugo as much as he does.
Yeah.
Like any other relationship, he will be competing with that person. The person he's with will be competing with Rakugo for his affection.
It does seem like it's going that way. I just hope he'll clean up his act and not continue to just be like, money.
Like, I don't even think it's going to be a romantic relationship. It's just like, I think that's the only person he can be close to. Is everyone else doesn't get it, and he does. And I think this is why he can be father to Konatsu, even though neither one of them will admit it, is because I think Rakugo means as much to Konatsu as it does to Kiku.
So we do know that Sukerotsu, he's
gonna buy it soon. Yeah. I'm assuming.
Yeah. So he's about to lose that one too.
Oh, poor guy. The Rakugo world will be worse off. I don't know why he doesn't just let freaking Konatsu do it.
I know. So you raise her, you see the passion in her that was in her father that is in you, and you're just like, no.
That's the thing, though. That's where he draws the line at her being a woman. If she's as good as, if he cares as much as the artist about the artist he does, if she's that good, put her on stage, boss. Like, so isn't that your whole deal?
He was barred from being a geisha because he's a boy, and now he's raising this girl who's barred. What's that?
So he's retaliating?
I don't know. Is it like the cycle that just keeps repeating, or is it an intentional retaliation? I still think there's something deeper. I still think it's deeper than no girls allowed. I think that there's a reason he's barring her, that he's not telling her, and he's using gender as an excuse. I don't know what the reason is yet.
It's possible Sukeroku tells him to not let her, in which case, like before he dies.
Shoo, that would make me hate him.
in which case, that could explain why.
But the only reason he would do that is because he feels like it's not a good life. Yeah. Like it's a destructive life, and it's going to end badly for her.
Sure. You know what? That's a good point. It could be mom too. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Like, I don't care.
She tried to bar Shin. So what if she tries to bar her daughter as well?
You don't need another reason to dislike
why would
Miyokichi?
Why would Kiku go with that? Like, why would Kiku get
That's the question.
Like,
yeah, I think Philip's theory that
Sukeroku, that's the only person I think that he would, if that's the case, he's the only person whose his word to would take precedent. I don't know.
Yeah, because as you said, he's the only relationship that can actually go deep enough. So for him to maybe in his dying request say, "Don't let my daughter go down this path too."
That's gonna be tough. That's gonna be
tough.
I hope it's not that. I hope it's something else.
It's a good story so far. Are y'all enjoying it?
I love this. It's just great character-oriented storytelling.
Yeah.
It's still very firmly anchored around this art form. So again, I said it last time, but I love stories that are about storytelling, and it just adds up. It adds so many dimensions to it that for me, it's working great. Even though I'm just like this old fuddy-duddy who's reading the manga, not watching the anime. I still feel like I'm getting enough of a feel for it. Plus, I did watch that clip you sent me, Alan. So I did see.
Is it good?
What'd you send him?
I sent him the Yotaro's performance of the bumbling thief and the really.
Yes, that was so good. Did you see he did the one that you showed us last time, the death where he used
the Shinigami one? Yeah, the same thing. Like there's one at the head and there's one at the feet. Yeah. Yes. Did you like that clip, Philip?
Yeah.
I did.
Oh,
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
He's
good.
so good. It's
I-
just so animated.
I want to send you the clip. I don't need to do it right now of her shouting at him, telling him, "I'm going to haunt you," at the window. It's really well voice acted. She was into it.
Okay.
What is
Cool.
this?
The one when I can never remember her name.
Miyokichi.
Thanks. When Miyokichi is getting broken up with.
From Hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Word.
With the violins.
So
Yeah.
good. The music is excellent.
Yeah, but this is brilliant storytelling. I really
Oh,
love it.
it's yes, I agree. It's giving us just enough.
Oh, continue. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's giving us just enough, but leaving enough open too for interpretation that it's like you want to know. I don't know. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
What are our
were you gonna
predictions
say?
for the next section?
Well, we're gonna have a little bit more of this flashback stuff, and eventually we're gonna get back to the present in the late 70s, I guess. We're gonna get back to your boy Yotaro, I think.
So I think the first season of this show is only 13 episodes long, and it would be super weird if they stopped mid-season in the middle of this flashback. So this is just me meta because there's only 2 episodes of the anime left. I think the flashback's only going to last 2 more episodes in the anime, and I think they're going to return to present day in the second season. Or I could just be wrong, and they're like, "Yeah, we ran out of time, so to be continued in next year or whatever." But we'll see. I think I'm going to predict that y'all's volume 5 ends the flashback. That's going to be my prediction.
Miyokichi is going to show up at their performance, weasel her way back into someone's life.
I don't think so. I think they're going to tell her. I think they're going to tell her to beat it, bozo. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. No mo.
Hey,
no.
I would happily take that storyline, but I don't think we're done with her yet.
There's going to be
present day.
Huh?
What's that?
Doesn't she show up in the present day? Like right
dead.
She's dead.
Isn't she?
Dead. Yeah, Miyokichi and Sukeroku.
Yeah, she's dead.
Okay, so she shows up right when we first meet her, though. She just looked older there when I first.
No, you're thinking of Madam. Oh, she doesn't have a name. Her name's Madam.
So, by the way, you guys, I don't. Oh,
This
yes.
relationships. Yes. Oh,
she worked with Miyokichi as a geisha. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you know the Shinju part of the title here. This is Showa Genroku Rakugo
That's the
Shinju.
double suicide thing, right?
That's the double suicide. The Shinju part means double suicide. And I still don't know if in the anime you guys have heard that double suicide story, the Rakugo. Okay, so there is one.
They talk about it briefly. Because when Miyokichi is threatening Bone, she says, there's a story about double suicide. Maybe that's what I'll go do. Like maybe I'll go kill myself. That's what she says right before she leaves.
So I feel like that story is going to have some increasing significance.
Okay, so basically they're both going to kill themselves. So
I don't know because I haven't read ahead, but I feel like that's the foreshadowing is going in that direction. In terms of, well, we know that Sukeroku and Miyokichi are dead. We don't know how it happened. We know that Konatsu blames Yakumo for the deaths, at least of her father. And at least in the manga, we did see an image of Yakumo with hands bloodied, kind of holding. I think he was holding Sukeroku. So, so I think we're going to have something to do with this double suicide story, and I don't know how it's going to go down, but we're going to see the end. If the flashback indeed ends in 1 or 2 more volumes, I think we're going to see what happened to them.
It's going to be a murder-suicide.
Something, yeah. Something.
Dang, we have not seen the bloody hands.
Yeah.
So who does the murdering and who does the other?
Freaking Miyokichi definitely does the murder. She definitely does the murder.
I agree.
I don't think there's any murder. I think
no. If we do go that way though, it's going to be because she declared she was going to get revenge on him, so she's going to see that Shin is the only one that Bon can have that closeness with, and she's going to take that from him.
But she's going to make it look like a suicide.
Ah,
So just so you
that's
guys
what it's gonna be. We just predicted the future.
well, just to add some fuel to that, so I'll try to summarize the story of the Rakugo. It's sort of comedic, if you can have comedy.
Super
mixed.
funny.
Yeah, super funny.
You heard it here first. Philip thinks that murder suicide is funny, apparently.
So there's a woman who she's an older geisha and she's losing her job and she wants to convince someone to go out with her, and she finds
wow. Okay, so it's the exact same story.
very similar.
Go ahead.
And she finds this poor like sap. This I forget what he does for a living, but anyway, she convinces him. They go on the bridge to jump off a bridge. She pushes the dude off the bridge, and then she's like, "Well, I don't know." And
Oh, that was
in the anime. We did see that in the anime.
Yeah, and the water was shallow, so he didn't drown.
He doesn't die. But he comes back and he haunts her like a funny ghost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We did see that. They do one of those performances. I forgot about that.
I did too.
Okay. So that's the sort of comedic. I feel it's got to be some kind of foreshadowing here.
You're right.
But
we'll see.
So does that mean that Shin is still alive? And that's going to be a plot twist?
No, I don't think so. I think the real thing is more tragic than
he's died of cirrhosis if he wasn't killed or killed liver.
Yeah. No, but I think we're onto something. I think that she's going to try to get her revenge by removing him from Bond's life.
The problem is like modern day Kiku acts like he hates Sukeroku.
It's an act. It's an act.
Oh, well, he's just that good at Rakugo.
But he does hate him. He does hate him.
Can't trust actors, Alan. Anyone who's been in performance, anyone who's done a one-man play, can't trust them.
Listen, I am not a theater person. Like I am theater, but I am not a theater person. So I don't think I'm narcissistic enough.
That's true.
Or do I think people need to hear me sing? Well, I do on my live sometimes sing Disney with Christina, but that's like a rarity as opposed to every time I'm around another human being.
If you got commissioned to put on a series of Discworld plays, you would not hesitate.
I need you to understand that I've put on 2 Discworld plays, Mork and Weird Sisters. I have put on both of them.
Of course you have.
Yeah. They're so funny. for my area.
You must have told me that before. There's no way I just guessed that. I think you told me and I just forgot.
I told you. I still have the Guards ones. It's my dream to put that on and be Vines, but
what?
It ain't gonna happen.
That's amazing.
Anyway, what were we saying?
I think we were wrapping up.
Can't trust something. Sukeroku. Oh, no, it's an act. It's an act. He does hate him. Philip is saying he does hate Sukeroku.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he loves him and he hates him both. He loves him because of what he means for the art form, but he hates him because
maybe he hates him for giving up.
He's jealous.
Never pushing himself, never applying himself.
I just love
you
how
could have saved Rakugo and you chose to, throw your life away instead.
There are so many layers to that.
But I hate that he has 30,000 subs. Like I hate him because he's got too many subs. So it's just
love, hate. What can you do? Yeah.
A reflection of the characters right here.
Anyway, I'm enjoying it. Is the next one on your channel, Philip?
Yes. Yep. We'll be doing another one on my channel, then another one on yours, and then
I'll inquire about how many episodes we need to watch for the next one, Alan.
Word. There's only 14 remaining, so
we'll just watch all 14 then.
I don't have the time to do that. Because I have to I can't watch it while doing anything else because it's bringing subtitles. I gotta read while I'm watching it. So I can't do anything else. I can't just put it on like while I'm tinkering.
Yeah.
Plus I had company here all week, so I wasn't able to watch until like today. I watched 5 episodes today.
They're good episodes though.
I mean, 4
Talk about cramming.
I know, I'm no better than my students.
This is your channel, Alan. You have to end it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, guys. So thanks for joining us. They have more subs than me, so you are already subscribed to them. So join us again on Philip's channel. and we'll talk about it again, and we'll have even more comparisons to me. You'll be able to see just how Philip killed
Ruined Rakugo.
Philip ruins BookTube for everyone, and then I die.
That might be true. I don't
And
know.
it's Philip's fault. So just so y'all know,
Time.
that's how that's gonna go. That's the plot you've got to look forward to. So I wish I had some shamisen music that I could play to outro this. Hold on, I'm vamping. So everybody go and join their channels and subscribe. If you have ever not seen their channels, it's going to talk about Grammarly. I know it. I know it's going to go to Grammarly first. Oh, and it's just going to load forever. Okay, thanks, YouTube. Anyway, it didn't work.
We can't hear anything.
What is happening?
No.
Buffering. What a failed experiment. Whatever. Okay, so guys, what you just saw here is a microcosm of my life. Just one failed experiment after another. So with that, we will say good day and enjoy the rest of whatever today is that this has been uploaded. So thanks for watching, and just remember to always keep turning the page.